And Jeremy, I know you can hear us. Thank you. So, Tim suggested that maybe we just take turns in sharing, and we got to pass the time somehow. And I said, I don't know who these people are. And the other gal over there said, we probably all know each other on Facebook and social media, but you don't know one another. So I said, I'll go first. I don't care. And it is it Fast and Testimony Day? No, that was last week. So anyway, I went in there with Jeremy by his side and offered to interpret. I was asked to leave, so people are not allowed inside of the stake center, only Jeremy and his wife. They've got church security around the building. So they did tell Jeremy up until this very minute tonight when I went in that he was not to have any interpreter. And that's kind of where I lost my proverbial, you know what, because there's kids here. I said, you have a right to equal access and communication. I don't understand why they won't allow you and afford you an interpreter of your choosing. But the stake president said that they did have one after all. So we didn't see him. We don't know who it is. I don't even know if they made good on that. But he said, come in here first, and I'll have an interpreter in here. So he may have gone in and found that they walked him into nothing, which wouldn't surprise me. Almost 3 years ago to the day, as my then wife, said, my brother had a couple of questions before he goes on his mission. Had just a couple of routine questions, wanted some answers. Innocuous answers to everyday questions that we got in the church. And I said, well, let me look it up. First thing that came up was CES letter to the church. Thanks, Jeremy. 78 pages. What kind of letter is this? I better print this off. I read the preface. I read the J. Reuben Clark quote, turned the page, went into the first section in the issues with the Book of Mormon and ultimate, the plagiarism and that type of thing. So naturally I said, well, I'm going to hold off on those questions for him. I got to figure out what is this all about. And the anachronisms. Went through that, turned the page, went through, then does everyone remember the whole thing about reading right off the bat with the italicized words, the special words that came specifically out of the King James Version and the specific Bible in the Smith household? And as your jaw is gaping, you're going, okay, what is this? And further down the rabbit hole you go into the Kinderhook place. Anybody here of Kinderhook prior to reading this? Because I sure hadn't. I was getting angrier by the minute. And then to have people tell you, oh, known about that since 3rd grade. Okay, well, as a convert, I didn't know any of this. By the end of page 78, I turned it, I went to my wife the next day, took our boy to Chuck E. Cheese or Planet Playhouse or whatever it was, gave him his fully loaded card, knock yourself out, and we sat down there in the middle of the arcade and we went through I said, honey, you got to look at this. And we went through it page by page. When we finished it, closed it, I looked at her and I said, I can't go back. That's exactly how it went. That was a Saturday. I went from a full believing, true blue Mormon to an agnostic, where I am now leaning atheist the next day. I told her, she said, I can't either, I'm done. And I said, I have to play the organ tomorrow. Those of you that are organists or pianists, you know that you feel the obligation, I better be there. But I said, I'm turning my key in and I'm done. Do you know that next day playing those hymns and listening to the word and the whole thing, it was sickening. I just couldn't. Come around with the sacrament? No. I walked out, went to the bishop, here's my key. When are you coming back? I'm not. Take care. All because of Jeremy. Not because he's an apostate. Not because he's a rebel rouser or anything. He had questions. He didn't do anything wrong, and now he's sitting tall in here asking why I'm here. I don't ask why I'm here. I know why I'm here. He answered my questions for me. He brought everything to light. And these people should be asking him, how come, why aren't we here out here with us? But whatever. I support Jeremy. I'm here because he should have his say. Today is his day for his say. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Thank you very much. Who's next?
My name is Allison Draper, and I know probably most of you online. And up here, can you hear me? Okay, I'm Allison Draper. I have the hugest award now of post-Mormon friends, and I am really grateful for all of you. You don't know what it's meant to me to get to know so many of you. I have been in bed for about 3 years recovering from spinal problems, and you guys really kept me from killing myself, literally. It was so hopeless for so long, and the late night conversations I had via the internet with people that felt the same way and felt as isolated and really gone from their families as I felt. I've been disowned by most of my family. It's just been incredible to have all of you, and I appreciate it so much. Last year I went through having my kids get sealed to their stepmother, my 4 adult kids and their father, and it just about did me in. Even though I knew it was all a ritualistic load of crap, it just killed me. And so many of you were there to support me. I just feel like I've just got the greatest friends in the world, even though I haven't met so many of you face to face. So this is just a wonderful opportunity. I wanted to come tonight to support Jeremy, not because he led to my leaving the church, but he's led so many people to the truth. And I just think this is just a load of crap that he's here tonight. I have an ongoing campaign today on Facebook about the Bundys, the really high-profile Mormons that have broken laws, led armed insurrection, caused $1.5 million damage to a bird refuge, and there are Mormons in good standing. And Jeremy just asked questions that were never answered, and I just think it's a real travesty. So I really appreciate being here tonight with all of you, and I appreciate all that you've done for me over the past 3 years of my life when it was so tough. And I'm just really happy to meet all of you. And I say these things in my own name.
There we go. So probably no one here knows who I am. I just moved to Utah not very long ago, just to kind of take a new step in my life. My whole life I kind of grew up as the very exemplary Mormon boy. I always bore my testimony every sacrament meeting, and in fact, the last time I ever spoke to a group in public was in my home ward in Prescott, Arizona, bearing my testimony of what I believed to be true at the time. I worked my whole life to serve a full-time mission for the church that I loved so dearly, and when the time finally came, I was suffering a very, very terrible heartbreak. I'd broken up with someone that it completely tore me apart, and embarrassingly enough, I was in the hospital for like a cardiomyopathy. I don't remember the term, but it was really scary, and my heart almost stopped beating. And I beat myself up so much for not being able to serve a mission, and I always questioned why. Why? My patriarchal blessing told me I was going to serve this mission, and I was going to do all these things. It told me all these crazy things, that I was going to dedicate temples, and it really made me put a really high standard on myself growing up. And so when I couldn't go because I was not in an emotionally healthy state to be able to serve a mission, I thought that God was punishing me and there was something wrong with me. And I was thrown into such horrible pain and depression for years that I could not climb out of, and I could not surmount. And the feeling that I thought was the Spirit and that I was taught was the Spirit, I couldn't feel. For years, I just completely felt empty and increasingly self-destructive. And I even tried to end my own life. Not very long ago, in fact, last October, after I had moved up here, felt quite alone and didn't fit in with all the other very active Mormons up here in Utah. I thought I would seek out the answers to my questions for myself. And just like Jeremy's friend who spoke earlier to you all, I came across his letter and I read the whole thing in one sitting. And I felt so betrayed and so hurt that it set me on a journey quite like Jeremy's, where I wanted to find out the truth for myself. And I went to all the sources. I spoke to Sandra Tanner in Salt Lake City, and I realized that all these scary ex-Mormons were good people. And I was one of them now. After coming to grips with everything and figuring everything out for myself, I haven't felt more peace in my life. I can't even express. I feel so good. I feel so free, and the whole world is open for me to learn about and to figure out.
I would say